I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal.
and you're watching Eating W's.
Eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 8 predictions. Looks like a spicy week. We got some good games here. But before we jump into our predictions, we got a quick update on our head-to-head pick'em game. Callan had a hell of a week, dropping 11 points, while I only got 6 points. So dead opposite. I had an awful week. I just said it last week. This is when I start declining. And I mean, God, I sure showed up and did that, to say the least. But that puts us at a total score of Callan with 63 and me with 67. So just barely hanging on to that lead. It goes all the way from 9 to 4. Oofta. That is rough, to say the least.
Yeah.
But a lead's a lead, so I'm not complaining quite yet.
Yep, you're still up for now, but I've been chipping away.
Let's see if you can take the lead this week with our predictions, starting with the Thursday night game of the Baltimore Ravens heading to the struggling Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we have a split here. I have the Ravens, and Callan has the Bucs as his upset.
Yeah, I think the Bucs are going to upset the Ravens here just because Tom Brady has just been playing awful, and at some point I feel like he's going to snap out of it. He's still Brady. He's still the GOAT. I mean, I'm putting my money in that this is the week that he snaps out of it and has a hell of a game.
Yeah, last year they had that 3rd and 4th down fiasco against the Bears when they lost to Chicago, and everyone said, it's over. Brady's too old. It's finally happening. And then he went on to just tear apart the rest of the season, all of the other opponents. But I just think the Ravens have too good of a roster. I think it might be true this time. It's still a little early. I'm not going to hit that buzzer and lock it in yet. But I think Brady might actually finally be showing signs of the time at the age of 45, really a young guy that he's showing the signs of his oldness. But I think the Ravens got this one. Next up, we have the London game for this week with the Denver Broncos heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Cal and I both have the Jags in this one, and I have them marked as my lock. Now, last year we had the running joke where every week's worst game was the London game because they sent awful teams to London. And if you saw this matchup of the Denver Broncos against the Jaguars last year, it would seem like it was an awful London game. But this year it's actually going to be a half-decent matchup with the Denver Broncos having some marquee players and the Jaguars playing pretty damn well for what they should do. But I have the Jaguars in this one as my lock because, well, first of all, I don't trust the Denver Broncos to say the least. But second of all, the Jags have a perfect record in London since they started playing there. I want to say it's 4-0 in London for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So why change history? I think it's going to keep going. I think they're going to get another win in London against a struggling Broncos team.
Yeah, this is the NFL's honorary London team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they really wear that with pride. They like going over to London. They play well over there, and it'll be interesting to see the new backfield with Travis Etienne now taking over that number 1 spot.
Yep, it'll be weird to see. I mean, he pretty much did it last week with James Robinson getting no touches, but now he will truly be that number 1 spot. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers heading to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. We both have the Falcons in this one, and you're probably saying, why are we talking about this garbage matchup? But Callan, why are we?
Well, because in the odd world that is the NFL, if the Panthers were to pull this one off and the Buccaneers lose to the Ravens and the Saints lose to the Raiders, the Panthers would be in first place in the NFC South. The rebuilding Panthers would be in first place. That's not really a rebuild.
No.
But it is very possible that at the end of this week, the Panthers will be in first place in the NFC South.
I mean, you fire your head coach, lose your starting quarterback to injury. They had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. You lose 2 starting quarterbacks to injury, and you trade away your starting running back, star running back. You have a chance to be first place in your division halfway through the season. Just insane to think about.
Yeah, the NFC South is pretty weak this year.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, fresh off of their bye week. And Cal and I both have the Vikings in this game. As I just mentioned, we are coming off of a bye week last week, so we've had a whole extra week to prepare for this game against Arizona. last year, I believe the Minnesota Vikings faced Arizona week 6 in Arizona, and the Cardinals were undefeated at that point, and we should have won, but Greg Joseph missed a game-winning field goal, something he did often last year, but something that towards the end of last year, and especially into this year, he has proved that he can do with pretty decent consistency. So I think this is going to be a close game. I by no means think we're going to easily handle the Arizona Cardinals, especially with D-Hop coming back in full force now, having a week to get back into the swing of things. But I think that we do win here, and maybe even win on a Greg Joseph game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I just think that the Vikings are just the better team this week. They're also a better team at home, which is going to be very tough for the Cardinals to come in there and try to beat them in the Dome, or I guess in the bank, as they call it now.
Yep.
But with both Thielen and Justin Jefferson, that Arizona defense is pretty weak. I just think that they're going to pass all over them, and it should be an easy win for the Vikings.
Yep. Rushing quarterbacks don't have the best win rate against us, but they never fail to make our defense look silly. So we'll have to see how Kyler plays this week. Next up, we have an AFC East divisional matchup with the New England Patriots heading to New York to take on the Jets and the new JETS member, James Robinson. We got a split here. I have the Jets and Callan has the Patriots.
Yeah, I just, Bill Belichick has owned the Jets. And until the Jets can show that they can beat Belichick, I'm just going to keep betting on Belichick because he has been able to beat the Jets consecutively for decades now. And he's just been the Jets' worst nightmare. So even with the quarterback controversy, is it Jones? Is it Zappe? I think the Patriots are going to play well enough to beat the Jets and surprise people this week, especially after how bad they played on Monday night.
Yep. I have the Jets in this one just because they have some sort of magic going on there in New York. They are, not to make a pun, but they got the sauce going. Sauce Gardner is really helping them out. They got a bunch of momentum coming into this game. It's in New York. Something I think we'll see and I want to see is I want to see them let Zach Wilson open up that cannon and let loose and throw the ball a little more. They've been a completely run-based team with Breece Hall these past few weeks. Now that he has that injury, their starting back will probably be Michael Carter with James Robinson back there with him. Both of those guys can catch the ball out of the backfield well. They have pretty good receivers, Elijah Moore, the rookie Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis. I want to see them really see if Zach Wilson can be a franchise quarterback for them in the future. And to be honest, I think if they give him that chance, we will see him play pretty well and the Jets pick up a win.
Yeah, they have been pretty run heavy.
Yep, certainly.
They haven't really let Wilson go yet.
Yep. So next up, we have an NFC West divisional matchup with the San Francisco 49ers heading to LA to take on the Los Angeles Rams. And another split here. I have the Rams in this one. Callan has the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners did not play well last week, and I just feel like that their downward trend is continuing. I feel like the Rams need a win here. They're coming off a bye. They're getting healthy, and I think that Cooper Kupp is going to have a huge game.
Yep. D'Amico Ryans in that defense is amazing. They have Christian McCaffrey coming into week 2, learning that playbook a little more. I think the 49ers rather, are a really good team. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's something inside of me. I cannot pick Jimmy Garoppolo no matter what. It's in LA. The Rams are coming off of a bye week, so they had an extra week to prepare for the Niners, who just got whooped by the Kansas City Chiefs last week. So I like the Rams in this one. Next up, we have our game of the week with the New York Giants heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and yet another split. I have the Seahawks in this one. Callan has the Giants.
Yeah, and this is the only game this week with a winning record between two teams. And who would have thought it'd be the Giants and Seahawks with the two winning records to face each other in week 8. Not the Ravens Bucks, not the Packers Bills, but Giants Seahawks as the top game of the week this week. And it's just been a wild year, and that just goes to show. I think that the Giants are having that kind of magical run that you were saying. It's just that feel in New York. For whatever reason, both New York teams really have it going. Coach Brian Daboll is a Coach of the Year candidate. They call him Coach Dabs, so he's hip, he's young,
he's hip.
he's got the team going, he's got the right flow going. So I think they carry this flow right into a victory.
Yeah, something special going on in New York, but there's also something special going on in Seattle. I don't know what exactly, if Pete Carroll is just used to playing with college level guys, so that's why he's doing so well. He came from USC. But the Seahawks do not have the roster, to say the least, but they have found ways to put together wins consistently and impressive wins against pretty good teams. So why not put together one more win against a team that's looking pretty impressive to start this season this year and really make a statement win against the New York Jets? Next up, we got the Sunday night football game of the Green Bay Packers heading to Orchard Park to take on the Buffalo Bills in yet another split, and a lock upset split with with me taking the Packers as my upset and Callan taking the Bills as his lock.
Because I have hit the panic button. The season is over. They might as well play Jordan Love. They might as well put all the backups in. Start looking towards next year, because this team is just awful right now. They cannot put together a full game. They can't run the ball well. They can't throw the ball well. And the defense is just so overwhelmed because the offense can't get anything going that they're on the field for 80% of the damn game. And when that happens, your defense just gets tired. So, of course, they're going against the top team in the NFL, the Bills, who are the number 1 scoring offense, number 2 scoring defense. This is going to be a very tough game for Green Bay. I would be very surprised if we were able to pull this one out, and I don't think that we will. Maybe it'll be close, but I'm expecting a blowout here because this team is just not good right now.
I filled out my picks Monday night. We're recording this on Tuesday. I picked the Buffalo Bills, considered putting them as my lock, but held off. Then this morning, Tuesday morning, I read a stat that the Bills are favored over the Packers by 10.5 points. And this is the first time in his career that Aaron Rodgers has been a double-digit point underdog. Ever. Since 2005 when he was drafted, ever the Packers have been a 10.5 underdog. And I've seen way too many Aaron Rodgers games. As soon as I read that stat, I said, God damn it, they're going into Buffalo. They're going to beat the Bills. Don't know how they're going to turn around and randomly beat the Bills, but stupid luck is going to make it happen. That fighter, that winner inside of Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to pull off the upset.
I hope it finally comes out because it has not been here the last few weeks.
That's for sure. It's going to take a miracle, to say the least. And then finally, we'll wrap up quick with our Monday night game, which is an AFC North matchup of the Cincinnati Bengals heading to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Callan has the Bengals in this one. I have the Browns. The Browns have been in so many close games recently and just have not been able to make that closing. Jacoby Brissett pours his heart into every single game and cannot pick up a dub in that win column. So I think it's going to happen now. It's in Cleveland. The Bengals have been very inconsistent this year, to say the least. So I like the Browns in this one.
And though the Bengals have been inconsistent, they were on fire last week. And I believe that they break that inconsistency and become consistent with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow just really seemed to be on the same page last week. And I think they continue that dominance going into Cleveland next week.
Yep. Okay, so those were our predictions. The bye weeks, or bye teams rather, for this NFL Week 8 are the Chiefs and the Chargers, so they get to rest up a little bit. That is our predictions. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, think about subscribing. But until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.